The government is announcing new rights for workers today, including better access to sick pay, greater protection from unfair dismissal and a ban on exploitative zero-hours contracts.
It's hoped the reforms will benefit millions of workers, but business leaders have warned it could cost jobs and impact growth. Joined now by Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds. Mr Reynolds, there'll be lots of our viewers who will be keen to know, especially people who are employees, when is this going to happen and how will it actually materially change things for them? So when will these new rights come into force and which ones do you think will have the most significant impact upon people's lives?
Yeah, good morning. Joining you from Berkeley and Tyne Weir this morning. So this is an important package, an important part of the new government's proposals. More security in the workplace. It tilts the balance towards what already goes on in the best employers. There will be a significant change of circumstances for people. So, for instance, at present, you have 9 million British workers who are not protected against unfair dismissal because they've worked for their employer for less than 2 years. They will gain that right. There are over 1 million people who don't have access to sick pay. There are people who aren't getting parental leave or unpaid parental leave or paternity leave. So it will be a significant upgrade. We've worked very closely with unions and with business to make sure it's fair and proportionate. Now, your point on timescale, I can only say we are introducing this legislation 100 days, less than 100 days into the new government. I obviously can't preempt, Ed, how quickly that can go through Parliament, but there has to be then some detailed consultations on some of the specific measures. So you're probably talking about 2026, realistically, before they come into force. But the government is moving at pace to deliver on its manifesto commitments, and it will be about delivering an economy that works better for some people on the lowest incomes, in the least secure employment. I think that is important.
Just to clarify some facts for our viewers. First of all, unfair dismissal. You say rights from day one, but there will be a probationary period for some months when employers can still remove workers. You say you're going to, I mean, it was banned zero-hours contracts. That's now going to be exploitative zero-hours contracts. Who's going to decide what's exploitative? Rights for flexible working. Is that something that people will definitely get, flexible working if they want, or will that depend upon what their employers think? How real are these changes and how much of it is actually still up for grabs and not going to be quite what it says on the tin?
Yeah, look, it's a significant package. It's the biggest upgrade of working people's rights for a generation. So let me take you through those questions. On zero-hours contract, it's the worker themselves who will decide whether they believe that the contract is exploitative or not. So where you work a regular number of hours, you will be entitled to a contract that reflects those hours. If you don't want it, you don't have to take it, but it's the worker who will decide. When it comes to flexible working, we obviously have had this for many decades in the United Kingdom, but we will change the process by which you can request flexible working. There are, always will be, legitimate business reasons why that might not be possible, but those will be spelled out in statutory guidance, removing ambiguity for employers and employees. I do think it is worth saying, though, where this can be agreed between an employee and an employer, there are big benefits on both sides, so it's a good thing to take forward. And on probationary periods, look, we understand, and we've worked very closely with business on this, that there needs to be a period at the start of employment where, look, if it's not working out, if people aren't living up to their interview or how you thought that would go, you need a lighter touch process to fairly dismiss them. So that will be a process. If you follow that, fine. If you don't follow it, you will still have protection against unfair dismissal. So these are a big upgrade to working people's rights, but they're fair and proportionate.
It's not going to be day one, is it? Because that's what it was sold as the new Workers' Rights Protection Charter, was that from day one you'd be protected. That's not the case. Unfair dismissal...
It is day one protection.
What? So if somebody...
It is day one, because you will have the right for protection against unfair dismissal from day one. The probation period is about how you'll have a different process at the start of employment, reflecting if it's not working out, there's an easier process by which to change and end that employment relationship. I think that is a fair balance to strike, but you still have protection against unfair dismissal. It's also worth saying you already do have day one protection in the workplace for some existing rights. So disability discrimination, whistleblowing, these do already exist. So it's not the case we'll have no rights from day one at present, but they will have more rights under this package.
And we've been reporting today, the Small Business Federation, worrying about this. We know business organisations are concerned this is going to cost jobs, more bureaucracy. They're also now worried there might be an employer's rise in national insurance coming in the budget. You as Business Secretary, you've spent the last couple of years telling business you're on their side. Is the truth for you today, if business is attacking you, that means these changes in workers' rights are real. I mean, do you welcome the fact business is unhappy? Because if they were happy, then probably you wouldn't be changing very much.
No, I don't see it in that binary fashion. So let's just be frank. The vast majority of businesses in the UK already operate to a higher standard than the floor will be risen to by this legislation. I'm at the Cooperative Group Distribution Centre here in Tyne and Wear. They pay the living wage. They already have, like half of employers in the UK do, an occupational sick pay policy better than the statutory minimum. You have about 60% of jobs in the UK already advertised as having flexible working built in. So it levels the playing field. It tilts it towards the better employers. There's also a strong business case for these measures. So you get more people into the labour market. You have more dynamism. People are able to move jobs because they don't have to wait to get the rights they need from day one in the job. You have a stronger case for investing in the workforce. So there is a strong business case for these as well.
That's interesting.
So we've worked very closely with business to deliver that.
Yeah, we've got a lot of small business owners who are worried because they think it puts too much onus now on them to protect the employee at a cost to them, which could lead to them employing fewer employees. I understand that your message is that actually it's going to have a different effect, which is it's going to increase protections and that will increase the labour force. But I want to ask you about something else before we let you go. Last week it was reported that the Labour government was offering company bosses breakfast with you, the business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, for up to £30,000. Was that something that was your idea?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I was very frustrated by this. I'd had no sight or endorsement of the document in question. I made clear as soon as it was brought to my attention I'd play no part in an event like that and wouldn't participate in it. So very frustrating on my part, but fair of you to ask, but no, not done with my understanding or endorsement.
Was this something that had been discussed with you, or are people able to buy meetings with ministers in government? No. I, specifically on this case, couldn't attend our regional conference in the northwest of England. I offered to do an alternative event, but I'd never seen the proposal that you're talking about and wouldn't participate in it. OK, so as soon as you found out about it, you said that's, what, an outrageous idea, get rid of it?
Yeah. I made clear I'd play no part in that.
And what's happened to the person who suggested it and sent out the invites?
Well, that's an internal matter, but I can only tell you on my part, I wouldn't participate in that and made that clear as soon as it was brought to my attention.
Are they still in their probationary period?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said, are they still in their probationary period?
I think the document in question was actually from a company not connected to the Labour Party, and that is for them. But, yeah, look, I'm frustrated by this, a little embarrassed, to be frank, but I made clear I'd have no truck with it.
Contract terminated.
Jonathan Reynolds, Business Secretary, thanks very much indeed.